Continuation betting has long been a powerful tactic in poker. In recent years, many top tournament players have begun to utilize a smaller bet sizing with their flop c-bets. Card Player recently caught up with World Poker Tour main event winner, Run It Once training site coach, and author of the book Mastering Mixed Games, Linde, to discuss the increased popularity of the small c-bet.
Small c-betting has become a lot more popular just because of basically running solvers has taught us that it's kind of like a range on range battle. So when you have a range advantage on certain boards, you can bet a very small amount to make your opponent somewhat indifferent to continuing. So you don't have to make like a large bet to price people out. You can just attack it with a huge portion of your range with a very small bet. And so once people have realized that strategy is closer to optimal than say like a huge bet strategy on a lot of boards, you see a lot more people using it.
We also asked Linde if a result of employing a smaller c-bet is that opponents might call and float with a wider range of hands.
Absolutely, yes. And that's kind of the, now, when you kind of take away from getting to the GTO point, you get people who are either under defending or like over aggressing versus it. Also, people use the small c-bet on wrong boards too. There are certain boards where it doesn't work well, and you get a lot of players that don't check raise versus it enough. You have to combat the small c-bet, you have to use a lot of different tactics to, kind of put your opponent on the spot. And I think a lot of people have figured out to do the small c-bet, they just don't know how to progress afterwards.
Linde mentioned that certain flops don't lend themselves to small continuation bets. We asked him if he could offer an example situation.
So like a board texture that doesn't work super well with small c-bets would say so you have you raise the button with 25 big blinds or something, right? And the big blind defends and the board comes 6, 7, 5 with 2 suits. The big blind's typically going to have a lot of, bigger hands there, so you're not going to want to just bet 25% of the pot with your entire range because you're going to have a lot more 2 big card hands, and they're going to have, most of their hands that fall into that category are going to have 3-bet or reshove against you. So you're going to be up against more condensed range that hits that board harder.
Finally, we asked Linde about how players might begin to try combating a small c-bet approach from their opponents.
So the best way to learn how to combat a small c-bet strategy, besides just obviously doing some work with a solver, is to kind of think about hand interactions, right? It's okay, if my opponent is betting 25% pot, they're probably doing it with almost all of their hands. So you need to go to the next logical extrapolation of that, and then I can start attacking it lighter than I normally would, not just playing as passively, because you will have to, both call lighter with hands but also continue aggressively with more hands. And I think that's the first node that people need to look at, as far as how to continue versus.
Thanks to Dill and Linde for offering up some insight into this strategy topic. And thank you for checking out this video right here on cardplayer.com.